Yes, hello and welcome back to the Green Light On podcast. I tell you what, I was getting a little bit thirsty. It's been a long, long time between drinks, but we are back. I've had an extra kid at home. It's all been happening in the last 6 months or so. Nice little freshen up. And I tell you what, absolutely rapt to be back with a mini series. 2 episodes over the next 7 days, all around the Bendigo Cup series, the Sportsbet Bendigo Cup series, which is, to be honest, one of my favourites. Huge episode coming up. Top 5 Bendigo Cup wins we're going to take a look at of the last 20 years or so, reviewing the Battlers Cup series, the big final on the grand final night next week, and as well taking a look at each and every cup heat. But I couldn't do it alone, so I called the manager of the Bendigo Greyhound Racing Club, Charlton Hindle, and I said, "Hey, Charles, are you ready to go? How are you, my friend?"
Yeah, I'm very well. Thanks, James. Thanks for having me. And yeah, we've got a bit to unpack. So yeah, keen to get into it.
The first segment that we're going to rip into is top 5 Bendigo Cup wins. Now, I normally like to go back and look at honour rolls of races and go, well, gee, that looks a pretty good series because there's some big names. And I thought, well, the Bendigo Cup sort of stands out. I think because of the distance, 425 thereabouts has been the distance of the Cup for a long, long
Yep.
time. Now, I did notice there was one over the 545, and I'm not sure who the manager was, but they obviously had a crack at it and said, maybe not, bring it back to the
Yep.
sprint. And I love the sprint distance. So I reckon that 435, that 425, that sort of distance range that the Bendigo Cup's been over the last few years, you get the 500-metre dogs who are willing to drop back, but you also get those hardcore sprinters who go, yep, I'm going to chance the arm and have a go at the 425 because I think I can run it.
Absolutely. And you've got the long back straight out the back there as well. So it gives every dog good opportunity to start off with. So no, it's a cracker of a race.
Well, let's have a look, mate, at the, I guess what I've been waiting to produce, the 5 best Bendigo Cup wins. Now, you're relatively new to the town of Bendigo, or the managing role in particular there at Bendigo. So talk me through your top 5 in the years you've been involved in racing.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start off at number 5. Can't go past the first one for me, which was Typhoon's Tammy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you crack a little whippet of a thing, wasn't he? He wasn't the biggest dog going around, but his early speed and once he railed in that cup, he was very hard to beat. So no, he comes in at number 5 for me.
Number 4?
Alpha Zulu for me last year. I guess it's just got a bit of a soft spot for me because he won the Gold Rush Maiden in April, and then he went on to win the Bendigo Cup in the same year. So he's the first dog to ever have done that. So that's a very good stat.
I recall 12 months ago you going on and on about that stat. With the Gold Rush and the Bendigo Cup. But it's an amazing effort to start your career at Bendigo in one of the hardest, I reckon, juvenile races to win, and to then come back and claim the best open class race. It's a pretty phenomenal effort, and hence there's only been one to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was a bit nervous. He drew box 8. I was like, he might not get across, but he blitzed him that night. He was very impressive.
Magnificent. Number 3?
Number 3 for me, I remember I was still in uni and I come out and watched this dog and I thought he was an absolute cracker, and that's Van de Maat in 2018. Yeah, coming over from WA, and a lot of the owners did as well. And they had a great old night, and that one sticks in my mind for sure.
Yeah, seriously quick dog. Number 3, Van de Maat. What about number 2?
Number 2 is the one that got me into greyhound racing, which I fell in love with sport, which was 2015 Fernando Bale for me. He was an absolute star.
Yeah.
And I just remember following him, fresh 18, and moved to Bendigo as a 19-year-old and travelling out to the track, watching him in the heats, and then watching blitz the final. That was unreal.
With number 2's Fernando Bale, I'm not sure what could possibly top that.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it was a tough one, but I'm just going for a bit of I like a bit of a hard luck story, the underdog, and that's Landmark for me, number 1. So that's still talked around the office quite frequently. That one had no luck in the heats and stormed home just to come second, and was actually the reserve for the cup.
Yeah, he was.
And got a start and drew the rail and left them all for dead. And I think he won paying massive price.
He's talked about for all of the wrong reasons by a mate of ours, Mitchie Abaya. I think you'll find that he wanted to get up and have a punt on the dog, but he fell asleep halfway through the meeting or something like that. The alarm didn't wake him up, didn't get the bet on, woke up, had a look at the results, and Landmark had won the Bendigo Cup at a big double-figure price too.
We always say that, don't we?
Here's my top 5 Bendigo Cup wins, say post the millennium, so 2000. Number 5. Now, a lot of new punters wouldn't have heard of this boy, but his name's Brumby Ladd. And he was an absolute excitement machine, sprinting machine. He had 106 race starts, 43 wins, raced from 2002 to 2005. He was a front-running sprinter, and he won $250,000 when prize money wasn't what it is today. So he was number 5 for me, the 2004 Bendigo Cup winner. We had to wind the clock back. Number 4 for me, Charlton, is Paul Licking. Now, this is a greyhound who he was just a phenomenal chaser. And what I love about him is he's gone out on top. His last career start was in the Bendigo Cup of 2014. So I thought that was a pretty cool stat.
Yeah.
He won 32 of 54. Calvin Greeno prepared him down here. He was an absolute jet. I actually had a greyhound race against him, and you were just in awe of how good this dog was and how quick he was. For me, number 3 is the greyhound you mentioned in your top 5, Typhoon Sammy. For memory, I reckon he was accidentally scratched on the morning of the race, not by Team Thompson, but there was a computer glitch or something like that, which I imagine, I'm not 100% sure it was this race. I'm pretty sure it was, which I imagine would have put a lot of stress on the kennel and connections if that was the case, if you wake up and you haven't scratched your dog and he's scratched in the Bendigo Cup. But they were able to rectify that issue, obviously. He then went on to win the race, I'm pretty sure. So probably should have double-checked that before I went on a podcast. But
Yeah,
it was something like it happened once, I think, somewhere. May not have even been Typhoon Sammy. Number 2 is Power of Buddy. What do you say? Just a rocket of a dog. Now stands at stud for Stephen Bruce White. 23-29 he went in the Bendigo Cup. And, I mean, you would have seen a million races around Bendigo over the years. They don't go much quicker. They don't go really any quicker. And the other one for number 1 could only be for mine, Fernando Bale. 23-40 he ran in this race back in 2015. He came into the race, I think, a 4-time Group 1 winner, 5-time Group winner. And I reckon that, Charlton, just speaks volumes of what type of canine targets the Bendigo Cup. I mean, he was a legitimate Group 1 superstar, and the dailies who don't race on the regular at Bendigo said, this is a race we want to go for.
Yeah, and it was a massive draw card, I remember. It was hyped up locally, and got a massive crowd here, and obviously fair enough to watch the absolute superstar of the sport.
Run of the day. Well, we're looking at run of the day from Wednesday as we do a little bit of a review on this mini-series episode number 1 of the Bendigo Cup, looking at the Battlers Cup, which I think is a great little addition to the program. And when you speak of the advertised events on Cup night, it is an enormous night of racing. But the Battlers Cup gives the greyhounds, who aren't the superstars of a sport, a chance for their, I guess, time in the spotlight, their moment to shine as such. And just going through the heats, Charlton, there were a couple of really good runs. Something Clever was one who stood out as a really impressive performance. But for me, I'm giving run of the day to Aston Monarchy. Now, didn't set the overall fastest, 24:10 when the best was 23:88. But she shows breathtaking early speed. She went 6:49, quickest off the back straight. I think she'll lead the final. She's drawn box 8, which I think is a huge plus. The only thing I'm waiting for is the markets to open, to be fair, Charlton, and I'll be having a responsible little wager, let me tell you, gamble responsibly all of the time. But I think she's going to be mighty hard to beat, and her heat run sort of proved that she is well and truly good enough to win the Battlers Cup. How did you see the heats on Wednesday night?
Yeah, we 12 ripper of heats. Cannot complain whatsoever. It's always a very well supported event, and you sort of feel a little bit bad. You have 4 winners that don't actually make the final, which is just how popular the race actually is. But I do agree with you. Once your boy gets outside, and he'll be very hard to beat. But I am very keen on the Mark Johnson kennel. I think he's an absolute star of a trainer and just goes about his business. And this one actually ran the quickest of the night from box 5. And that is Aston Ophelia. So
nice.
He would be the one that I'll be following on the night.
I like that. He's a good man now, boy, Marky Johnson. So we wish him well with Aston Ophelia. But just before we move on to the next segment, Charlton, the support card of the Bendigo Cup the meeting's enormous. The advertised events, the Spring Cup, which we're going to see Kangaroo Class race Friday night, the 4th of October. Got no idea when this podcast will be going out to air for those who are tuning in. So it may have already run, it may not have run, but he is an excitement machine, Kangaroo Class, and I reckon he's got one paw on the Spring Cup already. Fair to say?
Yeah, he'll be mighty hard to beat. He does have box one, which you'd think would suit him, but there is a lot of pace outside. So hopefully he doesn't get jammed up too much. But he's a class animal, and I think he'll be very hard to beat.
I reckon there'll be punters coming to Bendigo Cup night equally as much to watch Kangaroo Class strutty stuff as there will be runners in the Cup. He's that exciting as a youngster on the rise as a stayer. Obviously, the Bendigo Cup's the feature. Group 2, Sportsbet Bendigo Cup. The Battlers Cup Consolation, a 5th grade final, which will be a deep series. It always is. And the GRV Vicbred Maiden, the GRV Vicbred Mixed 6 and 7 series over the 425. So it all culminates with a Super Vic race, that one too, on what is going to be a massive night. And before we take a look at the Cup heats, why should the punters who are tuning into this particular podcast say, yep, I'm going to make the journey to Junatown, Bendigo, and have a night out? I hear the Crispers coming. Is that right?
Yeah, spot on. So aside from the bloody top class racing that you've just mentioned, we have plenty off track as well. So we've got a community clubs challenge where we've got 8 local footy and netball clubs. They'll be here supporting a dog for the Cup. So they'll bring a good atmosphere. Jack Crisp will be on track. So he's going to be mingling with all the punters, and so plenty of chance to get a photo opportunity there. We're going to have some casino tables out the back there. So if you want a bit of a break from the dog racing and want to go play a bit of blackjack or a bit of roulette, that'll be all set up there. And live music as well, bar, bistro facilities. Yeah, we'll have it all here. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, the good news is, mate, I'm emceeing, and you won't have to pay me a couple of those roulette chips. I love a bit of roulette or blackjack. That'll keep me busy.
Absolutely. No, it's something a bit different. So we're always trying to be a bit innovative and keep everyone entertained. So yeah, be a cracker of a night.
Big race preview. Well, it is big race preview time, and I'll tell you what, there is 7 big races at Bendigo this week, 7 heats of the Bendigo Cup Saturday evening. And you know what I love about Saturday night racing at Bendigo? The fact the club have just grabbed the Meadows, the Metropolitan Greyhound Racing, and just said, get out of here. Give us some space.
Move over.
Move aside. And you can see why. First race, 6:33. We'll go through them race by race with the heats of the Bendigo Cup, starting with race 4, heat number 1. 7:35 jump time, take out the 5 vacant draw. I mean, I'm going to give a top tip in all of them, but there's absolutely no guarantees that by the time these heats go around, you'll still be with them because they're so even. I'm leaning to Vincent Dale in the first heat. I just think the inside draw could drag him out. Interesting to see him have a 500-metre race at Bendigo, and he was supreme in it, but in the lead up to dropping back to a Bendigo Cup. But I'm not one to doubt the trainers, especially not Sam Grenfell, who's won a lot of big races. So I'm going to be with Vincent Bale on the each way there in heat number 1.
Yeah, definitely can't argue with that. Drawn the red, and as you said, it ran pretty good time in the 500 as well. And it'd be very hard to beat if that one gets out. But I am going to go a bit of a roughie. I like box 6 Kenya Nitrate. So I think a little bit of trouble early. That one doesn't have the most quickest speed early, but once it gets motoring, it could absolutely storm home. And it's run around the track in 23:67, which is quick enough for this heat. So I think it can get a good tail into the race and be hard to beat.
Hey, mate, you know what I love? The fact that 2015, you went to Bendigo as a uni student, watched Fernando Bale, and you can see the passion you actually have for the sport. And do you pinch yourself sometimes that you're now the manager of the Greyhound Racing Club that you wanted to on that memorable night?
Absolutely, mate. It was it's always been a bit of a dream of mine to get involved in the industry. So I absolutely love it. Love the dogs, love the people involved, and just love the club. So I'm really enjoying it.
Well, hopefully you can tip a winner. We can see the passion there. You look at the first heat. Heat number 2, look, another race where I think realistically any of the 8 could win. Um, I'm going to go with Serial Sticker. He holds a soft place in my heart because of the fact he at a young age contested the Hillsville Cup Series, which I reckon it sort of proves his class, and he might just go on that sort of a run now where he keeps making big races. And to be even going to a Bendigo Cup Series at just start number 10, I think it speaks volumes of what the connections think of his ability.
Mm, absolutely. Brandon Purcell, very strong kennel as well, and he generally goes pretty well here in the Cups. So he will run very well, but I am going to go with the 7 Mockfish. So Joe Borg and George Borg, they're very good supporters of the club, and that one actually won the Prospector here in the winter. So and it ran very quick time, and it'll need a bit of luck from box 7, but yeah, I'd like to see it run very well.
One left of centre. Alpha Zulu, first greyhound to do the Gold Rush Bendigo Cup double. Has anyone done the Prospector Bendigo Cup double?
You'd be the first. You'd be the
There you go.
first.
Oh, I can see the excitement in your eyes already. What about heat number 3, race number 6? Look, this is a really interesting battle. I reckon Description's the winner from the draw. Comes up with box number 1. Whether or not he's quick enough to beat Matlock, if Matlock is absolutely raging, I'm not too sure. He went on a bit of a tangent racing in these country cups not too long ago, but I'm just going to lean to the red because of the good draw, and you might get more of an each-way price with Description, and I reckon he is all class.
Yeah, I'm with you on Description. Straight out of the box, straight onto the rail, straight on the bunny. He'll be very hard to run down and run at 71 here. Very good record at the track. It's been set for this by the Gibbons team, so I'll be with you on that one, I reckon.
Yeah, nice. What about race 7? Shimmer Current, I'm going to stick with off the inside. I reckon he's been, although a really good dog, he's won 13 of 60 and $135,000 in prize money. I reckon he's been a little bit hard to catch time to time. And I just think the draw's a really good one for him. He's won 6 races from either box 1 or 2. He's got He Shines in box 2, who's a slow beginner who's going to want to get up the track a little bit. Now, there is speed, Tattooed, mile a minute, Badger's Beast from New South Wales on that. Great to see Pete Lagogiani not sponsor, but support the Bendigo Cup Series with a few in, and Aston Western with a lot of speed. But I can just envisage Charlton when I go to sleep at night. I can just see Shimmer Current shooting through on the rail and being.
Yeah, he's a class dog, that's for sure. I love that you touched on Peter's dog because I am intrigued about that coming down from New South Wales. Got the picket fence going, and it's been running very good times at Richmond and Maitland. I'm with it. I'm going to back it. I'm very keen on it. Like he's obviously set it for this, and I think its form lines are very exciting. So I've got Badger's Beast on top, but I do have a soft spot for Tattooed being locally owned. So I will also be cheering on Tattooed as well.
I like that Badger's Beast has got the picket fence. You mentioned that. Something that your football side that you play for up there in the local footy did not get this year, knocked out of a prelim. Before we move on, that would have been a bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah, and we didn't just get beaten; we got touched up a little bit too. But we lost to the eventual winners, so that that was all right.
Second best side in the comp, then I think they could say. Heat number 5. I reckon this is going to be the dog to beat in the series. Maybe pass the buck. I know he's a little bit hot and cold numerically, form wise. He can be really hard to catch, but when he gets it right, he's the one of the dogs, maybe the only dog in the series who I reckon can run those ridiculous times that the likes of Typhoon Sammy, Power of Buddy, Fernando Bale have run to be able to win a Bendigo Cup. So I just feel he's the greyhound with X factor. Yes, he could probably bomb out of the series from the red in the heat, but I'm pinning a little bit of faith in Anthony as a party and seeing what he can do.
I'm with you again here, mate. It's one of my favourites, Pass the Buck. He's been around here plenty of times before. 3 from 3 from the track and the distance, 23.48 best time. He's an absolute star, one of my favourites. And 12 months ago was actually favourite for the Phoenix. It is a very good dog, very quick animal, and I agree. I've been looking at the futures market, and he's definitely one that I might be looking at futures, and also Winking Willie down the bottom there as well from Len McDonald. It's run very well here in the past as well, and we all know Ned's family connections with the greyhound racing industry, so they know how to train a dog or two. So he will also be running a good race.
Next week for the Bendigo Cup series, we will be catching up with connections as well. So getting a little bit of inside info ahead of the Bendigo Cup, because Nelly Mac's a favourite of ours on the podcast. He's hard to get a hold of. He likes to play a little bit of local basketball, local footy, a bit like yourself. So it's not always easy to get onto Ned McDonald, but when we can, we do. Race number 9, heat 6. I'm going to tip the 5 at my command. Has serious early wheels. I think has the speed to lead. The runner that I want to mention is the 8 Sydney Show, though, for Ronnie Rogers, local trainer up there at Long Gully. He actually commentates the AFL, does Ronnie Rogers. So he's a bit of a quiet man. He goes into his business, but when he gets that voice up and about, it's almost a bit Ronnie Hawkswell-esque. So we wish him well with Sydney Show.
Yeah, absolutely. Another local. We love seeing them try to contest this cup. So I'll be over the moon if Ronnie gets a win, because he's been stalwart of the club and helps out when he can as well. So wish him all the best with Sydney Show. But I am going to be with Unleashing Miami. What it showed in the heats for the Gold Rush Maiden was something to be seen as a young dog. Didn't get any luck in the final, and been just going about its business recently. And drawing the red, I think, will be very hard to run down.
I reckon you're going to have to make a formal apology to our man Ronnie Rogers.
You know why? I'll be over the moon.
You called him old man. Reckon he'll like that, the old boy Ronnie Rogers?
Yeah, he'll forgive me.
He's a good man. He's a young man. I'll say that for you, Ron. Don't worry about that. Race number 10, final chance to qualify. One of the more intriguing heats. Aston Fantastic lines up in the red. She's all out in box 6 for Mario Brigani, who loves to get up the track. I've got a funny feeling they're going to split. So Aston Fantastic stays on the rail. Sheasel will drift to the outside. It's going to create a monster of space. The seas are going to part. You could drive a semi-trailer down the back straight of Lord's Raceway, I think, on Saturday night. And on high alert, number 4, for the fact that Karen Pitt is bringing this greyhound first up to a Bendigo Cup heat, has had the 13 starts, 8 wins, hasn't raced since the 11th of June. I'm pulling my trainer's cap on and saying this dog must be going well. So I'm going to tip race 10, number 4, on the each way, on the proviso that maybe watch the markets. If there's support there, we have a little responsible each way play.
Yeah, well, I can't argue with that. I reckon you're spot on there. Obviously, with box 5 banking as well, that'll help on high alert. And I'm actually going to go the one next to it, old Sheasel for Mario. Obviously in cracker form. And he doesn't bring them up for no reason. And Sheasel will be set for it. So I'm going to be on the 6 for that one.
Well, there we go, mate. That's the 7 heats of the Sportsbet Bendigo Cup. It is going to be an outstanding series. You sort of gave a little bit of an insight as to who you might be tipping as the all-in runner to be on. But tell you what, I'm on past the buck. All in. If I'm having a bet now, gamble responsibly. Chances are you're going to lose. 1-800-858-858. Or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. But if I'm having a bet on the series, I reckon it's going to be past the buck, because I think off the red, he could come out and just do something absolutely extraordinary. Like he could run a 23.35 and everyone just goes, wow, he wins the final. He also could come out and then get beat in the final. But I think as an all-in play with that X factor, he's got that pure brilliance and the capability to be able to win a Bendigo Cup. And I think he profiles to win a Bendigo Cup.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. He's my all-in tip. As I said, 3 from 3 from the track. Got the 1 in the heat. I think you'll be very hard to beat. You'll definitely get your money's worth, I feel, as though if you're going all in.
Well, mate, it's going to be a big night of greyhound racing Saturday. Enjoy. You're going to be flat out. Battlers Cup heats Wednesday night, Spring Cup heats Friday night, Bendigo Cup heats Saturday night. Relax. Make sure you get some rest before the big dance. We'll be back next week, similar time, mid next week, to do a preview for the Bendigo Cup. So look after yourself, Charlton. We don't want you to run into the ground.
No, we'll be. And we'll be doing a live box draw after the heats too. So we'll put that on our Facebook page. So any of the keen pundits who would like to find out where they draw, that'll go up on our social media straight away.
Well, that's a wrap on episode number 1 of the mini-series, taking a look at the 2024 Sportsbet Bendigo Cup Series. Until next time, punters, safe travelling and happy punting. What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.